Welcome to Beyond the Shadows, where the unknown comes to light and the mysteries of our world are explored like never before. Here, every story hides a secret, and every secret has a story. If you're someone who dares to look beyond the obvious, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe, and join me as we journey into the mysteries that lie just beyond the shadows. The disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 is one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time. On March 8, 2014, the flight, traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, vanished without a trace. Despite extensive search efforts, the plane's wreckage and the reasons behind its disappearance remain shrouded in mystery. Today, we'll dive into the case, explore the various theories, and try to understand what might have happened to Flight MH370. But first, let's start from the beginning. The flight and its final moments. Flight MH370 was a Boeing 777-200ER, carrying 239 people, 227 passengers and 12 crew members. It took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. local time. It was supposed to land in Beijing 6 hours later. However, around 38 minutes after takeoff, something strange happened. The plane's last communication was a routine, "Good night, Malaysian 370, from the captain. This was the last known communication between the flight crew and air traffic control. At 1:19 a.m., MH370's radar transponder, which communicates with satellites and ground stations, stopped working. It was at this point that the plane's flight path took a mysterious turn. The plane flew off course, heading west instead of its intended northeastern route. And by 2:22 a.m., when the plane was last detected by military radar, it was deep in the southern Indian Ocean. But what happened between those critical moments? And how did MH370 end up in the middle of the ocean, thousands of miles from its intended destination? The search efforts and discoveries. The disappearance of MH370 immediately prompted a massive international search effort. It became the most expensive search in aviation history, spanning over 120,000 square kilometers of ocean. For years, teams from around the world combed through the waters of the southern Indian Ocean, trying to find any sign of the wreckage. In July 2015, a piece of the plane's wing, known as a flaperon, was found on Réunion Island, a French territory in the Indian Ocean. This discovery provided some clues, confirming that MH370 did indeed crash into the ocean. But it raised more questions than answers. If the plane crashed in this area, why hadn't any other wreckage been found? Despite the discovery of the flaperon, the search area was expanded to include more ocean. Still, the main wreckage of the plane has never been found. Theories. What happened to MH370? There are several theories about what happened to Flight MH370. Let's explore some of the most popular and compelling ones. Theory 1. A mechanical failure or catastrophic event. One of the most plausible theories involves a sudden mechanical failure, such as a fire or electrical malfunction. Some experts believe that a catastrophic event could have occurred, disabling the plane's ability to communicate and causing it to veer off course. A fire in the cockpit or a loss of oxygen could have incapacitated the crew and passengers, leaving the plane to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. This theory is supported by the fact that the plane flew for several hours after losing contact with air traffic control. However, no concrete evidence has been found to support this, leaving many to wonder if the plane's systems were intentionally disabled. Theory 2. Hijacking or terrorism. Another theory is that Flight MH370 was hijacked, either by someone on board or by an external force. While some have suggested terrorism, no terrorist group has ever claimed responsibility for the disappearance, which is unusual for such an event. There is some evidence that points to the possibility of hijacking, such as the plane's diversion from its original flight path. The question, though, remains: who would hijack the plane, and why? Would the hijackers have been trying to take the plane to a secret location, or was there another motive at play? One theory that has gained traction is that the plane was hijacked by someone on board, possibly the pilots themselves. Some believe that Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, the pilot of MH370, may have intentionally diverted the plane and flown it to a remote area of the Indian Ocean. This theory is based on his actions in the hours before the flight and his alleged personal problems. However, There is no direct evidence linking him to any intentional wrongdoing, and this theory remains speculative. Theory 3. Pilot suicide. This theory suggests that Captain Zahari, overwhelmed by personal struggles, may have deliberately crashed the plane. Some have pointed to his actions in the cockpit and his potential knowledge of the plane's systems as evidence that he might have taken the plane off course on purpose. One key element supporting this theory is the fact that the plane continued to fly for several hours after losing contact. If the pilot had wanted to crash the plane intentionally, it is possible that he used his training to maintain control and prevent any distress signals from reaching air traffic control. However, many family members of the victims have rejected this theory, and there is still no solid evidence to suggest that the captain was suicidal or that he caused the crash on purpose. Theory 4. The aircraft was hijacked by a state actor. Some conspiracy theorists have suggested that Flight MH370 may have been hijacked by a state actor, such as a government or military organization, for unknown reasons. This theory posits that the plane was secretly diverted to a location to either crash or be taken for military purposes. There have been speculations about the plane's cargo, including claims that it might have been carrying sensitive materials that could have been targeted by foreign governments. However, no evidence has surfaced to back up these theories, and they remain speculative at best. The ongoing search and unanswered questions. Despite the best efforts of search teams, the main wreckage of MH370 remains elusive. Several pieces of debris have washed up on shores around the Indian Ocean, providing some clues, but the full wreckage has never been found. The search area has been narrowed down to a remote part of the ocean, but even with advanced technology, the search has not yielded significant results. Why has it been so difficult to locate the wreckage? Could there be a hidden truth that authorities are not telling the public? And, most importantly, what happened to the 239 people on board? The disappearance of Flight MH370 is a tragedy that remains unsolved. The families of the passengers and crew deserve answers, and so does the world. While there are many theories, none can provide conclusive evidence to explain what really happened. Until more wreckage is found, or new evidence comes to light, the mystery of Flight MH370 will continue to haunt us. Thank you for joining me as we explored the mysterious disappearance of Flight MH370. What do you think happened to the plane? Do you have your own theories? Let me know in the comments below. This has been Beyond the Shadows. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more mysterious stories like this. Stay curious, stay intrigued, and stay tuned for more. See you next time.